just can't believe it's here. It's so great. On today's show, the biggest what-if player in the entire NBA is on the Dallas Mavericks. It's Anthony Davis. We'll tell you why in today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
Zone 5. Explain yourself.
All these changes, I still got my dog Dwight Powell.
Still!
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Like that.
And welcome. You're Locked On to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years. Thanks for reading every day or make it Locked On Mavs your first listen and make it the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network out there. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years, right alongside of me, the game day dude, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I want to give a big shout out to NBC. I mean, what NBC did with the NBA last night and kicking it off.
Let's go.
It just brought back all the feelings, man. It brought back every feeling. They brought out MJ for the intro too.
And at halftime.
Oh my gosh, just all of it. The song, the people talking about the game beforehand. VC, my guy,
Vince Carter.
they're all excited. They're talking about, dude, I used to love the cousin dynamic between T-Mac and VC in Toronto. But like, they seem excited for basketball and to talk about basketball instead of like just all the crap that ESPN throws out sometimes. And the player intros, I know this sounds probably like dumb to some people, but there's just all these little things they did so well. The presentation of it, just hats off to NBC. You killed it. You set the bar so high for Amazon and ABC and ESPN. Kicked it off right. And now we have game one for the Mavs, baby. Wednesday night. Let's do this.
And we'll get to see Dirk on Amazon Prime 2 this year, which I'm excited to see. Which I'm very excited. And did you see the Flag Gatorade commercial that Dirk... I had not felt like chills like that in a long time. That
I
made
was
me
just
feel
ready.
things.
Can I just go bench press? I just want to go bench press something.
I was going to go run down to like the 7-Eleven on the corner and buy all the Gatorade they had. Maybe the marketing was just
Tylenol,
working. The marketing was just working
everything
on
I
me.
need.
Today's episode, we're getting into the Mavs season preview. Give superlatives on a whole bunch of things. The most lovable Maverick, the Mav that were higher on the consensus, the Maverick that'll bring out the most crash out tweets, which I think is like the most polarizing player, and the Moses Brown Award that I will not explain until we get to it. Well, let's start here, Isaac Harris. The most polarizing player, the biggest what-if player in the entire NBA is on the Dallas Mavericks. His name is Anthony Davis because you and I had Anthony Davis as a top 10 player. The Locked On Podcast Network, we did a top 100. They had him as a number 14. I think the ESPN did it, and they had him like in the top 15. The Ringer redid theirs, and they had him in the top 15. And so he's a top 10 to top 15 player for sure, like guaranteed. Everybody across the board agrees with that he is that. He's the best player on the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs have built this team around him. We've talked all summer about how the Mavericks have built around Anthony Davis. We'll talk about Cooper Flagg a lot. Cooper Flagg is so important to this team. He's going to do a lot for the Mavericks, but the team is built around Anthony Davis. And this team will go as far as Anthony Davis can bring them this season. For the next 5-10 years after that, it's Cooper Flagg, right? But for this season, it's still Anthony Davis's team. And he's the biggest what-if player for so many different reasons this year, Isaac.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about this because I was looking around at the top players in our rankings and other rankings, and I was like, all right, these top 10 to 15 players, who has the like widest like variance of, man, if they hit and they're going to be up here, but there's a real chance that they could be down here, and it's hard. Who is the biggest like what if? And you start going through guys like Jokic and SGA and Giannis and Luka and even like Ant and Steph, and it's like, all right, you kind of like, not that you can like pinpoint exactly the type of seasons, but as long as like you kind of know where they're going to be at in the league, like you kind of know like what to expect at this like super high level. And then like you could make the argument of, all right, well, Kawhi is the answer to this because Kawhi's kind of in the AD situation of, man, okay, if they're fully healthy, man, they're this, and you could say that for every player, but we're also using the like games missed for these guys too that factors into this. And that's why I think AD is the biggest what if, the most polarizing player in the NBA this season, because there is a world that, yes, AD continues some injury struggles and he's missing games and he has these stretches, and it continues to kind of go like that. And it sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for the team. But there's also a world in which he plays 60 games or he plays 65 games. And if he's playing that many games, he's probably playing at a really high level. And when AD's playing a lot of games and that high level is being hit by him, then he is clearly a top 10 player in the league, probably like a top 6 or 7 player in the league. And that means if he's playing at that level, then that means the Mavericks are probably in the top like 4 or 5 in the Western Conference. But there's a world that he misses games and there's the injury stuff, and they're like fighting for a play-in spot and all of that. That's, for me, what makes him the most polarizing player in the league.
And it's because of injuries, right? Like that's a big thing. Like if you're hearing about the Dallas Mavericks being talked about this season, health will be a thing that gets brought up, right? Obviously, Kyrie is already out. He's out until late February, March, maybe potentially the whole season, right? He said, "Don't hold your breath on me coming back." Daniel Gafford is already doubtful for this game against the Spurs to open the season. He is expected to come back at a certain point. Lively has missed a bunch of games over the last 2 seasons. You have Dante Exum that is out for this for the start of this, and we haven't seen him yet. Like the Mavs have some injury concerns, but for Anthony Davis specifically, obviously he's got nicknames: Day-to-Day Davis, Street Clothes, like all these nicknames that he's gained over the last couple of years in his career. And when he's played, he's put a lot of those to the side, and he's been a really, like you said, a really good player, top 10 player, top 15 player in the NBA for sure. One of the most impactful defensive players in the NBA. Guy that can get you 40 points in a game if you need it. Guy that can get you 20, 25 every single game if you need it. 20 points, 12 boards, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Like he can get you all those numbers and make a huge, massive impact on a game and like add to winning. He helped that Pelicans team make the playoffs. When the last time the Pelicans made the playoffs? Like, right? Like he helped them get to the playoffs. The Lakers obviously win a title, and a legitimate one that mattered in the bubble.
Not to Alex Caruso.
So you got to admit that now that he was on the team, but he is like, what if he doesn't play enough games? Then the Mavericks will just go as Anthony Davis goes this season, and I think that is why he's one of the biggest what if players, because he can. So the highest you think that the Mavs could get is 4th. Is that where you're thinking if Anthony Davis plays? Let's give him 70. He played like 70 something a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he's playing 70 games, then it's hard to say like, hey, AD's going to play 70 games and he's not playing at that like crazy level. Because I mean, we've talked about before, like the best 2-8 guys in the league when they're fully healthy, playing at their best. You're looking at Giannis, AD, Wemby. It's like those 3 guys. Kawhi maybe, but even Kawhi's gotten a little bit older and the injuries have kind of added up a little bit for him. So you're looking at those 3 dudes as the best 2-8 guys in the entire NBA. And so if he's fully healthy and he's playing 70 games, then, I mean, barring some like other crazy injuries to like, Cooper and PJ and some of these guys, I mean, yes, you can't. I mean, I personally think the Mavericks finished like 6th this year. So but I'm not counting for AD to play 70 games either.
There's a scenario though where the West looks like it did last year, and between 2 and like 7 or 8. It's like 4 wins, right? Like that was the difference between it. There's a chance that they are the Rockets of last year, and all of a sudden 52 wins gets you the number 2 seed in the NBA.
Well,
like,
I did this
and I think Anthony Davis represents that difference. If Anthony Davis can be healthy, can get you those like 4 or 5 extra wins that you'll need, right? In the 15 or 20 so games that he'll miss. Like if he can play those games and win those extra games that they'll need, then I think the Mavs could be all the way up to 2. If it's the way that it was last year in the West, because it's so close. Yeah, it's so close across. And the Nuggets have been, you've talked about the Nuggets on Monday, but the Nuggets have been this team that people have been like, man, they're so good. And yes, they're definitely a good like playoff team.
Yes.
But they have not won like more than 53 games in a season, right? Like they have not been this regular season juggernaut, even though they're deeper than they have been in the past. And so I think that the Mavs have this crazy stretch. They were voted on the GM survey as one of the teams with the craziest like outcome, like the hardest to predict outcome. And I think it's because of Anthony Davis.
It is, yeah, and just the injuries and stuff. But I go to what I said a few days ago. The Mavericks are building their identity around being a really good defensive team. They set their own goal of being a top 3 defensive team. We were saying top 5. And the other day I said, all right, what if you just said, like, if you asked a lot of people, hey, top 8, you think the Mavericks should be a top 8 team? I feel like a lot of people would say, yeah, defensive rating, I think they could finish in the top 8.
Yeah.
Well, last year, the top, like, when you look at the top teams in the Western Conference, they all finished in the top 8. And all of them, the top, 4 out of the top 8 teams last year in defensive rating were 4 out of the top 6 teams in the Western Conference. And all of them had at least 48 wins. The Mavs over-under is 41.5. So if you want to follow that same formula, which it doesn't have to follow that as last year. If you're going to follow that formula and say, all right, well, I think the Mavericks are going to be a top 8 team in defensive rating, then last year tells you that they're going to have at least 48 wins and going to be a top 6 team in the Western Conference. Doesn't mean it's not 1 + 1 = 2, but it just goes to show you that if they do achieve this goal of being a top 3 or top 4, top 5 defensive rated team in the league, then it means they're probably going to have a really good record and be a top 6 team in the Western Conference.
And it all depends on Anthony Davis, depends on his health. And when he's healthy, he's been awesome and excellent. And the Mavs will go as Anthony Davis goes this season. Coming up, what to expect from Cooper Flagg and the Mavs going into their first game against the Spurs. I'll tell you what I'm watching for with Cooper Flagg coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is there to help you when you're like, all right, there's too much going on. We're in the sports equinox right now. You got the World Series happening. You got hockey. You've got NFL happening. You got NBA kickstarted and all that. Don't miss the excitement of football season and all the others with Prize Picks. It's good to be right with Prize Picks. It's such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football in all kinds of different ways. You just pick more or less on player projections, and you can combine a bunch of different sports, which I think is fun about it. You can do like Josh Allen's passing yards more or less on, let's say they pick like 300.5. If he throws for 301, you picked more, then you win. Saquon Barkley for a rushing touchdown, you're in the game. You put together these lineups, and you can do it with all kinds of different combinations and things like that. So go check it out. See what you got on there. Download the Prize Picks app and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right with Prize Picks. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA. Also brought to you by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it, right? It's like one of the things that people complain about with like rent. It's like, all right, I'm not building anything. I'm not like getting like credit card points. I'm obviously not gaining like any like credit in all this because I can't use my credit card and all that. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, B-I-L-T, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. It's not just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. You can do a bunch of different things on Built, so go check it out. I love that the points, you can build the points using anything. Grabbing food at a local restaurant around the corner, you can get points from there as well. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points and redeeming points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use that link so they know that we sent you. joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is, huh? Anybody? Kayla, hey, guess what day it is?
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening every single day. We appreciate you for checking out the show. We're a 5-day-a-week show. Every single post-game, we'll have you here covered on Locked On Mavs. And so listen to us, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all those places. We're also every day on KFAA. And so if you're watching a Mavs game on KFAA, just tune in like a couple hours early and you'll see our faces there hanging out. And so subscribe to that. And we also have a text line, so check the links and the QR code for different ways to follow the show, a bunch of different ways. All right, Isaac, let's talk about this Mavs versus Spurs game coming up. As we're recording this, it's tomorrow night.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Game day. It's game day, Dirk. The Mavs will be going into this, and a couple of things to just update on. Kyrie Irving's obviously out. He's going to be out, like I said, until late into the season with the ACL injury. Dante Exum is out. They're calling it a right knee injury management. We finally got like wordage on what Dante Exum is out with. I knew it was a knee something, but you didn't know what it was. So they're just calling it injury management, which is brutal. I talked about it yesterday on the show. Daniel Gafford has been downgraded to doubtful, or just listed as doubtful in the first injury report. It's a right ankle sprain. Obviously, we've known about it. He's been out for a while. He's missed all the preseason with this injury. He was participating in practice on Monday, and he was running around a little bit. He did some sprints. And so I think that's something that it seems like it's trending in the right direction, but it doesn't look like Gafford's going to play for this game for the Mavericks. And so what are you expecting from the Mavericks? And let's start with Cooper Flagg in this matchup. What are you expecting to see from him against the Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is just, what does the creation and ball handling look like around him? Is he going to be forced to do some of that? Are they going to, the game notes came out yesterday, and we know that they put projected starters on there. Those aren't always set in stone. Those have changed and stuff before the game starts but it gives you some type of idea. And if they don't start a traditional point guard, then I'll be curious just to see how they get him his looks. Do they force him to be the guy that brings the ball up the floor? I've been pretty adamant. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think he should start at point guard.
Of him being the point guard, him handling the ball. Like, what's the threshold of like, I'm not a fan of this anymore, right? Like for you.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the Denver stuff of like, there's one thing to run an offense through somebody at times and somebody to be the point guard. I don't think anyone would say Jokic is their point guard, but they run a lot of offense through Jokic. So I'm not saying I don't want offense ran through Cooper. I just don't want him to be like, kind of like what Luka was. Like, I don't want to try to force him into this like Luka box of, hey, you got to be the point guard, the playmaker, all the stuff all the time. I think he's better suited, and especially in his rookie year, I'd like to see him kind of play off the ball, get some actions to where he comes off the ball, and then he catches it on the perimeter. He's not having to bring the ball up the floor all the time, and then run some offensive stuff through him, run some actions and stuff with him, when he's playing off the ball. So I don't, not the biggest fan of that, but that's the number one thing with him that I'm watching, and how do they kind of set him up, or how often do they ask him to just like create on his own?
If you haven't listened to the show all season or all off season, I hope you have. We've been talking about Cooper Flagg for like 5 months.
Since we knew he was going to be tired of us talking about Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, and some of you were tired about us talking about Cooper Flagg the very first week that the Mavs were going to get Cooper Flagg,
that was wild.
I think is hilarious. He is going to be a connector star. He is not going to be the star that goes and shoots 20 times a game. And Anthony Edwards, somebody like that. He is a guy that is going to connect all these different pieces together, both defensively and offensively. Incredible passer, really good vision, can bring a bunch of things together, can finish on offense as well as set other guys up, and can get his own shot in a way, can also set other guys up for their own shot. On defense, he can defend on the perimeter, he can defend the rim. He's just he can run out and transition too. He can do some of the half court stuff. We've seen him in preseason dribble against guys we were concerned about, like Case and Wallace. And defend guys like quicker guards like Keontae George on the Jazz and people like that. And so we've seen a lot of these things from Cooper Flagg. The thing about it for him this season, and especially in this very first game, can the Mavericks trust him to connect all of this? You know what I mean? Like, can they trust him to connect all of it? Because Anthony Davis is leading the pack, but Anthony Davis has always been good with another like creator with him, a LeBron James, right? Or even, I guess, going back to the Pelicans, it was like Drew Holiday was sort of his setup guy in a way. And so can Flagg be that setup guy? Can he be that secondary shot creator, shot maker for the Mavs until Kyrie comes back? And then obviously he takes that role. But I think that's the big question that I'm looking for, even just in game one, is like, how does Cooper Flagg connect all of this stuff? Because there's a lot of finishers. Lively, there's Lively, PJ would be one, Klay would be one. Like, there's just a lot of finishers on this team, and how does Flagg connect all of that?
Yeah, I want to see how they defend him. Just how do teams in general over the these first few weeks, as we see teams face Cooper for the first time, we see how Dallas uses him in these real games. Do they go small? Do they try to play him with size? Just how do they do it? You look at the Spurs. Fox is out. Sohan's out. So it's like, they've been starting, or their last preseason game, they started Castle and Vassell. They brought Harper off the bench and stuff. So it's like, do they put Vassell on him? Do they put Castle on him? I'm fascinated by Wemby and AD. I can't wait to see that matchup.
And we get the Lively versus Wemby matchup, where Lively outplayed him a couple years ago in the season opener.
Yeah, that will be fun on that end of the ball. But I want to see Wemby guard AD, and just how does AD respond to that, and how does he play? So it'll be fun.
What do you think about the people making a big deal about like point flag or the Mavericks not starting a point guard, and then the game that we just watched last night, the Rockets and Thunder, both teams like really didn't start a point guard. The Rockets started Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Şengün, and Steven Adams. That's a huge lineup, the biggest lineup we've seen since 1970. And then the Thunder don't really have a point guard. They have SGA, obviously.
SGA is a point guard. Come on.
I mean, but he's not in the sense like he's a shot creator.
But he's a point guard. He runs their show. Like,
he's an NBA. He's a 2025 NBA point guard.
But he handles the ball. Like it's a difference between what like you watch in Houston and like OKC
was
has
Harden
Caruso.
a point guard when he was on the Rockets?
Who?
Harden, James Harden.
Yeah, I mean him and Chris Paul, right?
It's different. Like it's just different.
I feel like it's a little different when I don't feel comfortable calling like Amen's the same type of point guard as like Harden and SGA.
No, but he's not. I'm definitely not comparing them. I was
comparing that's why I'm like
and Harden
because I get the Houston comp of like, hey, they didn't like start a point guard, and I even like watched the end of that OKC Houston game, and it's like these clutch moments. It's fourth quarter, it's overtime, and Reed Shepard's kind of struggling at times. They're asking some Okogie stuff. They're asking KD to handle the ball a lot. And it's like, you see the announcers are bringing it up. You get online. It's like, they're kind of talking about like, hey, this is where they got to go get a point guard. You just got to have somebody that feels comfortable with the ball in their hands. And I get it's OKC. I get that it's Dort, Caruso, Case, and Wallace. These are some of the best point guard defenders, point of attack guys in the whole league.
Yeah,
so not everybody has those guys. But I couldn't help to think of like, crap. Like if Dallas was in this game and it's this like tight game and we're like, hey, we're just going to go big. Like that's asking a lot of Cooper to say, hey, bring the ball at the floor with Case and Wallace or Dort or Caruso just hounding you the whole time, and not just bring the ball at the floor, but we need you to like run the offense and then get everybody going. Like it's this first like action. Like I would love for that to come like later on in his career maybe, but
they're baptize him by fire in a way.
But
right?
honestly, though, this is if they do go that route, it's more about defense than I think it is about point Cooper. It's more about it. They're just uncomfortable with not having a point of attack guy. I think it's more about, hey, we have to have PJ's defense in there. We have to have PJ being our point of attack guy because we can't ask that from Cooper or D'Lo or Klay Thompson. Like they just can't, like we can't ask that of them. So I think it's more about that than it is. And honestly, and I mean, I'm kind of saying this in a laughing way, but kind of not at the same time. It fits the vision. Like the vision is we want to be a top defensive team, and they're kind of choosing, hey, we want to be the biggest, best defensive team that we could possibly be. And you're kind of choosing that over and saying like, hey, we'll be good enough on offense.
Explain yourself. Sorry.
Coming up, which Maverick are we higher on than the consensus? Which Maverick will bring out the most crash outs from fans this year? All kinds of questions like that coming up. Locked On Mavs continues next. Today's episode sponsored by Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. It won't for the Mavericks. It won't for you. It won't in any way. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everybody sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses, start making those moves. Rugiet makes it to get started so you get connected with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. That's the thing you want to avoid is the awkwardness. Rugiet takes that out with board-certified doctors that you can get connected with online. You got to love that. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly, discreetly, straight to your door, which you got to love too. And you don't have people like snooping in your business and all doing all that kind of stuff. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter for you. It's Rugiet. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA, rugiet.com. The promo code is LockedOnNBA. Use that code LockedOnNBA, all one word, so they know that we sent you. Rugiet. Stop making excuses. Start making moves. All right, Isaac. I guess we should talk about the stuff we said we we're going to talk about today. Started getting
We'll just open up the second segment with just some Mavs Spurs talk, and then we'll keep going.
I mean, it's the first game of the season.
No, it is. It's so exciting. I'm so ready for this game.
let's get into some of our big preseason, like season opener superlatives. You had some of these, and your first one was, which Maverick are you higher on than the consensus?
The captain.
You got the hat on. You got the boat captain hat.
Yeah, I feel like, the go-to would be for me to say D'Lo, but I've talked about D'Lo a lot, and I just think he's going to be better than what some people think he's going to be. I don't think D'Lo's going to be an all-star. I just think he's going to be the better point guard option.
Should he be starting? Is that like
yeah,
part
he
of
should.
your... Okay.
Yeah, I do think that. Or at least one of the point guards. But no, I think I'm a little bit higher on Klay. I think Klay's getting a little forgotten when it comes to the Mavs stuff. And I get it. You can only talk about so many Mavs, and it's Cooper, it's AD. It's like, who's going to play point guard, and Lively, and is PJ going to start? And it's kind of like, kind of forget about Klay. But Klay's like one of the only shooters on this team. And Klay is a sniper, and Klay is one of the best free throw shooters too. He is a leader. And I think he's going to play some good basketball. Even there's some stuff in the preseason too. I think he's looking good, like physically. He's getting to the rim. Some of the stuff that he was trying to play make some. I think they're going to rely on Klay a little bit more in the playmaking world, especially at the beginning of the season. And I think he's going to shoot the lights out too. He gives them spacing that you don't always notice whenever other people are operating out there, and people just have to gravitate towards him. And I'm higher on this Klay season being a really effective one.
I'm nervous about his shot selection from the preseason. At media day, he was like, I want to be a 50, 40, 90 guy. We're like, okay, that's a lofty goal. And then in the preseason, he's taken all these like step back mid-range, like 2-point jumpers that just did not look like his shot at all. And that's the kind of stuff he was taking at the end of his time with the Warriors that a lot of like Warriors fans were frustrated with, and that ended up like getting him benched basically, right? And so that's I'm a little concerned about that. Maybe that just changes when you get into the regular season. Maybe in the preseason he was just like, all right, let me just try these shots. But that's something I'm definitely keeping my eye on with Klay, because he wants to be a 50, 40, 90 guy. Well, you don't take those shots. You're going to be a 50, 40, 90 guy.
I wonder how much of that is him versus the staff saying like, hey, Kyrie's out. We got to have somebody taking some shots here.
Sure. Right.
But I don't know.
But maybe that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Mine is Max Christie. I still am high on Max Christie. I still think there's a chance where we say by the end of the season, Max Christie has to start because he's just taken a step forward. He's one of the best. By the end of the season, we could be saying he's one of the best perimeter defenders the Mavericks have, one of the best 3-point shooters the Mavericks have, because you talked about they don't have a lot of 3-point shooting.
Oh, I hope so.
They could need that. And so I still believe in Max Christie that he can be. I think last year was just such a crazy whirlwind of a season, like got traded in one of the big, and he admitted it was one of the biggest trades in sports history, and he was excited about that, but it was still massive. Which Maverick will bring out the most crash out tweets or crash out moments from fans?
Anthony Davis.
That's what I had to.
Yeah, I had a sneaky Max Christie as one because I think Max could have some moments off the bench of like, hey, I worked on my creation and stuff this offseason, and he's like forcing a little bit off the bench, and we're like, whoa, calm down a little bit. But it's got to be AD. It's the long twos. It's some of the I'm a guard when I should be the 5.
It's literally just the 18-foot step back fade away jumper. Those make me crash out. Like
I start pre-crashing out when
triple threat position. He's got the ball on the hip and he's like about to pull back.
No. It's not even when he has the ball. I start like blood pressure starts going up when he's got somebody on his hip and he's like hand up calling for it, and he's like near the 3-point line. And I'm like, oh no. Why are we starting here? Why are we starting out here? And then it's like jab step. Those are going to bring out some, full crashing out from some people.
My thing about Anthony Davis, and to watching the game 1 and all the games, is when he starts his offense within 16 feet. So like within the free throw line, basically around, like if you do draw a line around the free throw line to the rim or whatever, when he starts there, elite, unstoppable player. When he starts between like free throw line and 3-point line, that like 16 to 21 feet or whatever, just so hard to get him into his spots. And then you get those step back, like long twos.
I'm also kind of comfortable in set shots, catch and shoot threes.
For Anthony Davis?
Yes. For
Sure,
the
yeah.
off the dribble stuff.
That's a different shot.
No. But when he's out spacing and yeah.
All right, last one we'll do. The Moses Brown Award. Explain the Moses Brown Award, because you texted this to me. I knew exactly what you're talking about, but I don't think everybody will.
Didn't even have to explain it.
Nope, not at all.
This is the end of the bench guy that everyone is trying to tweet and be like, why isn't this guy playing more?
He'll save the season, basically.
Yeah.
He'll save the season.
He would turn
guy.
this around.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one player for me. This is Ryan Nembhard.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he is made for this award. He's a two-way guy, so he fits it even more perfect.
Yeah.
We seen him. We got a taste of him in the preseason to where he's like setting some guys up, nice passes and stuff. I mean, we are 2 weeks away from people losing their minds over Ryan Nembhard's the next Steve Nash. Why is he not running the show?
I took this a step farther because my first thought was Ryan Nembhard too. Took it a step further. Jason Kidd said that Ryan Nembhard has already made a case to get rotation minutes. So I think we'll see Ryan Nembhard early in the season.
So you believe in that one?
I think we'll see him early in the season. He can't be a guy that you're calling for if he's already getting minutes.
I'd rather him play point than nobody.
Gonna be Brandon Williams is the guy.
Oh, okay.
Because I think Ryan Nembhard gets the minutes before Brandon Williams, and so Brandon Williams would be the one on the bench, and people are like, why are they playing Ryan Nembhard? He's a two-way guy over Brandon Williams. We saw what he did last season.
Did you see how good Brandon Williams was at the end of last year? Like that, yeah.
Basketball players are made in March.
I wrote
think
down
it'll be
Caleb
Brandon
Martin too, but
I don't know that any Mavericks fans believe in Caleb Martin. Have you seen any?
I don't know. I could see some like, hey, he's good at defense.
I still believe that he could be a good player. I feel like I'm on an island. I feel like I'm on Caleb Martin Island.
I think you got a little hut there.
I think I have a hut set up.
One more
I think
thing.
it has a working door, and I think that's about it.
One more thing. I'm gonna throw you one league-wide question.
Okay.
Just to end it on. We don't have to
because we didn't get to any of them.
Yeah, no. Because
we'll be back tomorrow.
what's the team that's gonna blow it up this year?
Oh man. Blow it up. Like completely blow it up and just look at what they're doing and say, is the Kings too easy of an answer?
They flipped open the switch and hit it this year. They're going to hit the button.
Is the Kings too easy of an answer?
You can go with the Kings.
I mean, that just makes no sense. That whole thing. Like,
it's pure comedy. I love it.
We sent the text line. People, I sent a message about like when they signed Russell Westbrook, and I was just like, can I just talk about the Kings for a second? Like I just wrote like a little thing. I was like, this makes no sense. They do have some interesting young players, and I was like Devin Carter. And then Mark Stein reports that they may cut Devin Carter because you're just like, what are we doing over here, Kings?
Nick Clifford. My pick for this, Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, it's another. I mean, they've already started it with the Desmond Bane trade.
It's gonna happen. Jaws getting traded this year.
Oof.
I think they're gonna fully hit. I don't know.
Sacramento.
Brooklyn. Sacramento, yeah. Levine for Morant.
Oh my God.
No, I think they hit it completely. I think they start unloading people. They keep Jaren Jackson Jr. and then they hit the button and down to the bottom they go.
Who was the Grizzly that was out again? It was Scottie Pippen Jr. They're
I got the
reports
Ty
out for
Jerome's
4
out.
weeks, and I was like, what are they doing down in Memphis that all these guys are out the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season? It's like Edie, Jaren Jackson Jr., Ty Jerome, Scottie Pippen Jr. Like how many?
KCP is.
Oh, Brandon Clark, another one that.
Brandon Clark's already hurt. Cedric Coward's gonna get like 30 minutes night one, and I like him a lot, but I just think they're hitting the button.
John Morant's gonna be doing this to all the cameras everywhere. We'll just get him from another angle.
I was gonna say, then we'll start from a different angle.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Tomorrow we'll be back. Slightly now we'll have the post game show. We'll have you covered on there. Subscribe to the text line. Check the links in the description for different ways to follow the show.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.